Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the GMI Rocket Show. My name's Roman Zelchenko. I'm your host. I'm a former immigration attorney and the founder of Laborless, an immigration tech startup, and also the founder of GMI Rocket, which brings you this show. And I'm really excited. Today's episode 28, and our guest is joining us all the way from Romania. It's really late there, so I'm super, super grateful. Elena Antoneac, who is the founder of xpath.global, a really, really cool concept, a really cool technology company, essentially a marketplace for immigration and global mobility providers. Just think like Amazon. You go on and you see who's out there in the world providing different types of services, what their services are, perhaps in some case, pricing and things like that. Really, really making it wonderfully easy to figure out how to get support for immigration and global mobility from around the world. But we'll get into all of that. I'm really excited for this conversation because this is a really different kind of technology than I'm used to seeing, that we've definitely never had on the show. So without further ado, especially because it is 11 o'clock already, thank you, Elena, so much for joining us.
Thank you, Roman, for having me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is 11 o'clock, correct? In the
Yeah,
evening?
yeah. And
Wow.
unfortunately for me, I'm a very early morning person, so I waked up this morning at 4:30, something like that.
Wow.
But definitely, I will stay fit until the end of the end of the show.
Good. And of course, I'll try to not be boring and put you to sleep either. um, thank you. Thanks so much for joining. And I'm excited to learn about your, kind of your life and your journey, because as with many folks in our industry, which I would call the global immigration technology space, right? Um, Many of us come from the service side first. We provide the service, we work on the legal side, or the relocation side, whatever it might be, and then recognize that there's a problem that technology can solve. And so again, what I'm really interested in to talk about today is that a lot of times it's like, oh, there's a form that's really manual, or there's a process that's really manual, et cetera. You had a different idea. And again, we'll get there. I'm just reiterating because I'm excited about it. You had a different idea. Your idea was really like, there's so many wonderful service providers around the world. People immigrate to every single country in some way, shape, or form, especially on the business side. How do you reach out to them? There's no centralized place with all these service providers. And even if there was, a list doesn't do it. We need an interactive tool, marketplace, sort of centralized hub where you can not only see these organizations, but connect with them, and maybe even engage them right there. So I'm really excited. Before we get into it, I just want to say to folks watching and listening, tell us where you're from, especially we're in global, so tell us where you're calling in from and watching from. Shout yourself out. We'll give you a shout out as well. We've got, I'm not sure who this is. It says LinkedIn user, but buena sera. Thank you.
Yeah, Bună seara is like in Romanian, so probably we have somebody in Romania who doesn't sleep at this hour.
You're right. Well, thank you for joining us. And we have Anka saying we're so excited to get started with xpath Global. Awesome. Thank you. We got a lot of awesome people. Nicola from Heilbronn, Germany. Hi, Nicola. We have Shiv from Atlanta. Thank you so much, Shiv, for joining as always. Madalena also saying looking forward as well. Thank you. Likewise. We have Salut, Madalena. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And we have, okay, it's Olivia. Thank you, Olivia, for joining. Sorry, I don't know why I can't see your name. So keep, as we go along, just ask questions. We'll get to your questions and your comments. So, just to kind of make this fun and interactive. But so, obviously I'd love to start this. We're going to get to the technology side, but what I really love is, the human story, right? Sort of why you are where you are and how you got there. So we were talking about this and during a previous conversation. I was born in the Ukraine. I came to the U.S. as a small child. So you're from Romania. Were you born in Romania as well?
Yeah. So I was born somewhere in northeast Romania, close to the Ukrainian border.
Okay.
Yeah, probably earlier than you. So I was born during communism. I have attended public schools like everybody else, but I was lucky enough to be quite small when the Berlin Wall fall, and for Eastern Europe, it was kind of a liberation. So childhood was, I would say, quite boring. You know, I was born in a small city somewhere in the northeast, and not so many things were happening. But I remember that in high school, it was, we got some more adrenaline, in the in the 90s. So it was actually, that was my first, let's say, cultural experience.
Mm.
You know, I don't know how much you know about communism, but for us to have, American volunteers in our school, it was really cool. And I remember, my first experience with the homework we had. It was, the next day, Sarah, because her name was Sarah, the volunteer who was in our class. She was from Florida. um, I remember that she told us, okay, tomorrow we will organize a debate. The topic is abortion. So you have to choose in which side you have to be, on the pro-abortion or against abortion. And for us, it was like, Jesus Christ, are we allowed to talk about abortion? It's like we are in high school. It was quite, the freedom of speech was not really something that
Mhm.
we, we really we were used to. So that was a very, let's say, exciting experience.
W-
So yeah, it was, the high school. So I had to decide what do I want to become when I'm a grown up. It was quite a lot of pressure, I remember. It was quite cool to attend the law school, but there were some other options as well. So I was quite lost. At the time we didn't have counselors
mhm.
or specialized people to make assessments like you have now. It was quite a different world, in my opinion. um, but I remember very well the moment. I think it was in 1997 or 1998, when you in the U.S. it was the impeachment story of Bill Clinton. And for me, it was really somehow amazing to see, the president being, judged publicly. And yeah, I said, okay, I should go to law school. But as well, I
Mm.
was, thinking what is happening behind the person, Bill Clinton, what is doing, what the staff is doing, how they prepare everything. So yeah, it was kind of an interesting moment for me, to see that actually there is so much more on the other side of the fence. So yeah, that was a moment, the moment, let's say, when I said, okay, I will attend the law school.
And so you
Um,
attended law school as I'm assuming in Romania it's kind of a bachelor's of law, correct? So it's you
yeah,
go to high school and you attend.
yeah,
So you're 18, 19 years old. You start law school
yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So I followed this path, but I was somehow I was restless in regard to this path I chose. So I remember that when I arrived in the train station in Bucharest, I was starting the university. The city was full of posters, because at the time the elections and the mayor seat, the campaign for the mayor seat was in progress. And I was really fascinated by all the messages and all the images. And I was thinking, oh my God, I think that the most amazing thing in life is to be part of a campaign, not like
Mm.
a president or a person to be elected, but what is happening behind. Um,
Mm.
so I remember that I made a promise to myself that one day I will be part of a staff, and I will do whatever coffees, be there. I will be part of a campaign. So yeah, I started my life in the university. The first year was quite cool. I was studying a lot and partying a lot. I do not know which was first, to be
Right.
honest. In the second year, I had to earn some money. So I was looking for a job. And by accident, I landed into the Romanian Student Union. So that was a really cool experience. I don't know, have you ever been part of a union?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, in
yeah,
law school
actually,
actually as well.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. But I don't know what type of union was like an academic union, or it was more restless union, because we were organizing strikes. We had always a problem with the government. Yeah. So that was my case. What about your like? So
Yeah,
your part?
yeah,
Yeah.
we were, there are a lot of student organizations. I was part of a lot regarding immigration, but so there were different ones. We didn't participate really in any strikes. It was more internal for the school, getting people together, putting on events, really having folks network with each other. But I think the idea was that we get all the really passionate people about immigration in one room, and then they'll go off and do the things that they really are passionate about doing themselves.
Yeah. Well, for us, it was a different kind of passion.
Right.
So actually, it was a union which was taking care of the students' rights. So somehow I ended up taking care of the press, the relationship with the journalists. So it was quite cool, because it was easy to make the journalists write about what you're doing as a union, because we were
Hmm.
very active. I remember that we were really against the government. We were organizing all those strikes. We were writing open letters to the European Commission, accusing the government that it's too much corruption in the country, and so on and so forth. So we
Do
had
you
a lot of
do you
fun.
remember any of the specific actions or um, uh, moments of corruption that you were kind of rallying against?
Oh, there were so many, actually. There were so many, but actually we were when we were writing letters to the European Commission, we were actually making a full list of with all the parties in the government, complaining of all the acts of corruption and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
But we were somehow putting the government into, let's say, real troubles, because Romania was close to sign the negotiation treaty with the European Union, and we were playing around. So yeah, it was quite a great experience. I learned quite a lot from that period. I learned how to deal with the journalists, how to write press releases. It was quite cool. So I enjoy it. And then mm, I think uh, my first job was to I was invited somehow by the Ministry of Education. She saw the work I was putting into the union, relationship with the media. She asked me if I want to become her counselor, to help her to to wash her image somehow, because we were really doing a good job on the other side of the road. So I had that job for a couple of months, and then yeah, I graduated. Um, so yeah, this was
And did you graduate? You graduated with your law degree. Did you have to take any sort of licensing exam or anything like that to become
no,
an?
no, it's not. It's actually, you can be counselor at law. You can go to the bar. You can go and yeah, mm, but you don't need any license unless you want to become a lawyer or you want to become a prosecutor, or
Hmm.
yeah. So it's a different exam. So actually, for me, it was like a timing or a time to just decide what I want to do with my life. So I was not sure that I really want to go to become a lawyer, because in my mind I had something else. I wanted to go and study abroad. So
Mhm.
um, this is something that I started to apply. My dream was to go to the U.S. and I was applying, for MBAs, but people were like, "Lady, you need some business experience to apply for an MBA." So sorry, next next time. So I applied in Europe, and I got a scholarship. So I went to Brussels. I studied in Brussels. I lived there for 3 years, because I wanted just to broaden my horizon and to learn more. I studied economics,
Mhm.
because yeah, I was eager to learn more and to understand more what is happening around. Um, the experience in Brussels was, yeah, a very nice experience. I remember that I needed a visa, a student visa. Romania
Mhm.
was not part of the EU, so somehow I had uh, the immigration experience quite young.
Now, did you
Um,
deal with your own student visa, or did somebody from the university help you?
no, no, no. Because I had to obtain the visa in Romania. So actually, the university didn't have any any clue what to do in Romania. So I had to figure it out myself.
Wow.
So it was okay. It was not a big deal. It was somehow easy. So I spent the 3 years in Belgium. I enjoyed a lot. So I remember that I traveled a lot with the university. I've traveled as well to South Korea,
Wow.
and after that visit, I was thinking to go back and to find a job in South Korea, because I found it totally, different than the European culture. Um, but somehow, my boyfriend at the time and my actual husband, he convinced me that I should come back to Romania. So somehow I returned to Romania, and yeah, my dream was to find a job in PR communication, something like that. Nothing related to to economics or law.
Or
So
law. Yeah. So you
yeah,
got a
law.
bachelor's. So you got a bachelor's of law, then you got a master's of economics, I
Yeah,
presume,
yeah,
in
yeah,
Brussels, and then you came back and you really wanted to pursue this thing that was your kind of initial passion. It sounds like, which is, this fascination with press and press releases and around, you mentioned kind of being part of political campaigns and supporting that from the communication standpoint. I mean, it sounds like you were a communicator. That's all you, what you really wanted to do was communicate with people in various ways.
yeah.
That's that New York City. That's music coming from my window.
Oh, nice, nice.
Um,
It's for me. It's Friday night, so
exactly. It's basically a party right now in New York City. Um,
okay.
sorry. So it kind of sounds like you ended up focusing your your career, it sounds like, or the move that you made based on your interests, and you had attained all of this education and all these degrees. Um, what was that first job that you got when you came back to Romania?
That's a good a good question, because actually, from that point, the story with the immigration and the relocation and
Yeah.
mobility begins. So yeah, I was chasing jobs in PR and communication, because yeah, I had quite a lot of knowledge and I was quite passionate about it. But I was in the same time keen on, finding a job very fast, and I got well, like an invitation for an interview. I made an application. It was a Dutch company, a Dutch consultancy company, with offices specialized in relocation and immigration, and they had small offices in Central and Eastern Europe. The job was in business development. I will be very honest with you. I think I was 26 or 25. I didn't have any clue of what business development means,
Right.
and relocation and immigration was totally alien for me. It was like I didn't imagine that this industry exists. For me it was, yeah. So I said, okay, I should try this. I didn't know how to approach, the business development. And I remember that it was the first time when I was dealing with the Dutch way of, managing. Dutch are very entrepreneurial, so I didn't have too much guidance on that. So I had the KPIs, so I had to deliver the job. And I remember that I started with cold callings, calling companies. This was in 2007, calling companies and trying to present the services. In 2007, I remember that it was the year when Romania joined the EU. So even for people it was a bit strange, like relocation and immigration. Immigration of who? Usually other people were emigrating outside, going out of Romania. So not so many people coming in. Um, but I don't know how. Somehow I had a bit of a luck, and I remember that Nokia, the phone company, which collapsed in 2012, unfortunately. They were opening a big plant in Romania, and they were opening the plant somewhere in Transylvania. So we have been invited to bid. Uh, I I follow, I filled in all the forms and whatever they requested, and somehow we got the client. It was like, wow, it's not, it's not so hard. It was like, wow, to get Nokia, it sounds cool. And I remember very well that I had 2 weeks to make all the operational flows, for the company, for this project. And that part, I remember that I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And in the moment, we signed that contract, for me it was quite serious. From that moment, actually, I considered things very serious, and I took everything very seriously, because I looked into people's eyes and I was bluffing, talking about things on the right and on the left, what we will do. And then when I realized that, okay, I have to deliver exactly what I said, it was like, okay, it's serious. I remember that I took all the immigration law. I knew the immigration law by heart. I understood all the flows and how things are working, because my part was to take care of business development. I was not so much involved in the operation part, and even at the time the team was very, very small. So I had to be as well the business developer, but as on the other hand, the operational person to explain how things should be done. So yeah, actually, that was somehow a starting point for me, and I realized that I I like the industry. It's not so bad, you know.
Hmm.
So I remember that I made myself the first files for the client. I did the relocation first file, then the immigration first file, to understand exactly how things are working, and I enjoyed at the time. Yeah, so somehow this was my first experience with the industry.
And then it sounds like you got another job because soon I mean in a few years you would then go on to start Nestlers, but before that you then got a proper global mobility job somewhere else.
Uh, yeah, so actually, uh, the story is that the Dutch company, they after 2 years, I became a managing partner in
Mhm.
the company.
Wow.
Yeah, but I was somehow restless, we were in the middle of the crisis, this was in 2010. Things were not um, working very well. It was very hard to bring clients on the table, and in the same time, I was quite visible in the market. Yeah, I always enjoy to share with my friends, journalists, what is happening in immigration. I was always linked to this, and I didn't want to lose somehow the exercise of sharing what I'm doing. And Thanks to that, I was approached by a director in a big company. He was a member of the board of that company. That company is listed at the stock exchange. It was quite a big company. And he proposed, okay, come and become our HR executive. We need, we want to make some changes into the company. I think
Mhm.
that you are you fit to, what we need, and so on and so forth. Um, I really, um, I didn't really jump into it right away. I think I I thought about it 2 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was thinking if I can do the job or not. And then I decided to jump in it. And yeah, there I spent 3 years. And the reason why I jumped into that job was that actually I consider that job quite a chance for me to understand um, how is to be in the HR shoes,
Hmm.
because I had this obsession to understand the client, the customer needs. I was a student, and I needed a visa. It was not as complex as was for as it is for an expatriate with children and wife, moving from a country to another. And as well, I had that focus with with the HRs, because they have some expectations from us consultants.
Hmm.
And it was really, really a great experience for me. I stayed there. I worked there 3 years.
Yeah.
Um, I think it was tough for the management. There were 6 men, and I was the only woman, and I was quite young. I think I was 29. And I was very much focused on my scope. Why am I here? Whatever I said I will do, I will do. So I was very much driven into that, and I think that they had quite a hard time with me there, but
What do you mean by a hard time? Do you think that they, yeah, like how did you perceive that it was a hard time for them, I guess, and how did you react to it, or how did you navigate that?
yeah, so actually, the board, like the management executive board, they like the average age was I think 55, so they were quite old, but they had high expectations because the company was passing through very deep transformation, but they were not really ready for the change. So I had to fight, not with the organization, but with the leaders. Because they wanted the change, but they didn't want to change. So
Mhm.
that was
They
quite.
wanted change, but they didn't want to change.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a challenge for me, and I think I applied to so many tactics. I was very stubborn in my thinking that uh, I have to do what do you expect to do. So yeah, this was the approach, and it was a very very good time for me because it was as well 3 years of learning
Mhm.
uh, an organization. It was quite a very complex organization. They were producing green energy as well. So it was quite complex, but it was yeah, very nice.
And so, what made you ultimately say, I mean, to go from, to kind of take it back a little bit, you got this job with a company that, in doing business development, you got a big client in Nokia, and all of a sudden you found yourself doing sort of global mobility type of work. You were then invited to this other large company to actually do global mobility,
No, no.
actively.
The position was not in global mobility.
Ah,
The position was to be HR executive because
got
I
it.
was I was an expert in the labor law, and as well the immigration. This is something that I really performed as a consultant as well. So for me, I knew that for this job of HR, I had to really go on very complex, cases to cover all the angles of the HR. So that's why I took 2 3 months to think, okay, am I ready to do
Mhm.
this? Because I'm not going there just to, you know, show off or go around. So yeah, this was the reason. So the position was like HR executive, so
Got it.
not global mobility specialist. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So then you picked up, at this point, you got some HR and sort of labor law
Yeah.
experience. Before that, your global mobility. What made you think to yourself? Because before you started Expath Global, I mean, you started a big and successful immigration firm, called Nestlers. What caused you to what moved you to do that?
So after this experience, actually as an HR, I realized I knew that I want to go back. I want to go back and to do things, let's say in my way. And I was very much focused on compliance. And I remember that, okay, I went back. Nestlers, uh, you know, was born. So actually, what I had in mind was that I have to cover much more than immigration or relocation to clients. I wanted to sell a full compliance, let's say, package. And for me, an expatriate need as well tax, and we are not talking about corporate tax,
Mhm.
and social security, because it's quite a hassle, to go to an HR, and the HR would have for one expatriate 4 different suppliers or 5 different suppliers. So it's quite hard. So um, I had this in my mind that I have to focus very much on compliance, and then I remember that I made a course in Leuven on social security. Yeah, tax and social security are linked. And then I jumped into a tax institute in Vienna because I said, okay, I have to learn about tax and how things are working, and I have to focus on the employees' tax. And
And
this
you
is
did all of this before you launched Nestlers.
no, it was actually in the same time.
I guess
So
the question that I'm sorry, I just want to ask this because when you went from your first job to your second job, it sounds like you said you took 3 months to figure out, am I right for this job? Can I do it? I mean, effectively, you were saying, can I handle this? Am I
mhm,
experienced
mhm,
enough? Can I figure this out? And that's so normal when you go from one job maybe to another job that's higher, maybe a little bit different. I think it's natural to feel a little bit of self doubt or just uncertainty. And then you spent 3 years there, and then you went from that to starting your own company, which requires so much self-confidence and so much drive and a strong idea. I guess my question is, like, how did you go from being the person that was waiting 3 months to just take another job to somebody who said, you know what, I can do this better than what I'm seeing happening right now. There's a gap in the market. I'm going to start a business to support this need. Like, what helped you be able to make that move?
um, so I think that after 3 years as a as an HR in a company like the one I was, um, that company was like a kind of a boot camp, and I had all the knowledge around, and I had I knew exactly what I want, so that was actually the moment, like, you know I saw that, I studied that, I know exactly what I want, so it was kind of the perfect moment, let's say. It's like I knew exactly the path, so this is something that really really happened. And the situation was started to be somehow better from the economic perspective. So this is what I did. And actually I had a, let's say, a very good foundation as well, because I knew a lot of people in the market. I knew the companies, I knew exactly what we have to do, so it was quite easy to do
Did
all
you
that.
did you start Nestlers on your own, or did you have a partner when you first started right away?
No, with Nestlers I was on my own. Yeah, with
Wow.
Nestlers I was on my own. Yeah.
And so, because I think this show is obviously the technology side, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But I think this is also interesting because this is your first business. This is your first entrepreneurial sort of journey, and you went off on your own. Okay, you had connections, and you already had industry knowledge. Who was your first client? I mean, how did you have to make it. You have to make money somehow. You have to have the business succeed so that you don't have to go back to a job somewhere. How did you actually leverage your experience to open up Nestlers? Did you turn around to your old employer and say, "Hey, let me help you now as a service provider"? Did you reach out to people you had met and said, "Hey, I started this firm. Let's work together"? Like, how did you do that?
Yeah. So what happened at the time was that the Dutch company decided to exit Romania because it was for them the market was somehow too small. So they left. I was, part of I was into my HR journey. So when I came back and I said, okay, let's do some work here, um, I did partner with my former, partners with the Dutch company, and we had all those companies we discussed before. At the time Nokia closed because they were somehow bumped by Apple. So but slowly we started to to get small and medium and large companies into the basket. I struggled quite a lot, to work with as well with management companies, to show that we are very very good. We know exactly what we're doing. I managed um, uh, to hire some colleagues from my former workplace, yeah, the place
Hmm.
where I was HR. So yeah, there were some people who wanted to to follow me. So yeah, this was a new start, but I knew a lot. Like everything was somehow in place. So yeah, so
That's
that
amazing. I
was
mean, it sounds like there was a need for the service. It sounds like you were the right person to provide it, and you already had some contacts to at least get the business started. And then, of course, I'm sure it kind of went from there. I want to just
yeah.
take a quick. Oh, go
Mhm.
ahead.
I think I was lucky enough to have the right people in the right place, let's say. And yeah, I think I really have a good team. So we managed to grab and to work with very very large multinational companies. So yeah, this was quite helpful for us.
I wanted to ask or just mention a couple of folks, just some comments. So Nicola said, "It's Friday in the pandemic world." This is from before. He said, "We'll stay up and watch the show." We have Michael Cadden from, I guess, Living Abroad company based in Connecticut. Larry says, "All sounds like it sounds like a great platform. Looking forward to hear more." And we're going to get to that in just a minute. Nicola joked that he saw a tear when you mentioned partying. I think we all, I think we all miss partying a little bit. So this is a question from Nicola as well. Nicola asks, "How big is the demand for Romania?" And I suppose this was also in the beginning. What kind of professionals are sought after in the country, and what industries are thriving that you're able to support? And I think that you know this really ties into the Nestlers, because just to reiterate, we haven't mentioned, or you haven't really mentioned it yet. Nestlers was doing inbound right into Romania and Moldova, correct? Uh,
Yeah,
Inbound
yeah.
immigration, and then also the other support once they're in here. There's some labor and tax and other things like that. So I guess before we move on to what the where XPath came from, just to answer Nicola's question, who are you bringing in? What kind of business were you having with Nestlers?
So Nestlers actually has a lot of clients from the telecom industry, and
Hmm.
actually this really helped us a lot, even during somehow after the crisis, because those companies really developed a lot. And having and working with those big telecom players, actually Nestlers has three telecom players, huge telecom players in the portfolio. We started to have a lot of requests to help the HR to to assign or to transfer employees, like engineers in various countries, especially for short-term assignments.
Hmm.
Um, so actually, this was somehow one of the triggers that I had for to make expat, because I realized that I had to do some things that, and we had to organize some things in a way we didn't enjoy, or it was an obsolete model. So actually, how was happening? Those telecom, for example, those are our uh, telecom clients. They didn't work with a management company, so actually they were somehow had to perform and to organize all the transfers by themselves. So what they were doing was they were coming to us and they were asking, look guys, we have 20 engineers that have we should transfer them to the client site in Congo for 4 months. Please help us. And we were like, okay, we are part of a network. We are part of the URA, the ERC. So we were calling different partners from the network, asking, do you know any provider, so forth. And I think we managed those type of projects for 2 years maximum, but it was quite a struggle, because it was hard to manage everything in the offline. It was hard to, to call all the time for some recommendations from other partners. Hey, do you have somebody in Angola? Or hey, do you have somebody in Bangladesh? But somebody reliable, because URA or even ERC, actually they had the book with the members. So it was kind of a golden pages way of doing things. You were opening the book, and you were checking into the book where are the service providers and what type of service provider you can find in different countries. And that model was not really appealing, because it was hard, in place to have all the focus. And yeah, so to answer to the question, those are mainly the companies, telecom companies, automotive. Um, we work with very large multinational companies. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share publicly what are the names. And then pharma companies, IT companies, online companies. So actually, we gather quite a lot.
Hmm. That's amazing. We just a quick comment here. Sounds like one of your old clients. Mariana Crollo said she had the pleasure of being one of your clients and can only recommend her. You're one of the rare people able to find a solution for any challenge. That's awesome. Thank you so much for the
Thank
comment.
you, Mariana. Thank you. Thank you. It's
Um,
such a surprise, I think the last time I talked to Miriana was 4 years ago.
wow.
I think she's not even in Romania. Miriana, hello.
That's amazing. And hi, Mariana. Thank you. So I want to move to this section of your journey right now, because you had this inspiration. You realized as you were handling a lot of global relocation assignments, you were calling people, you were doing really manual work just to get an answer, just to find a provider, and then of course there's the actual work that has to happen with the provider. So you eventually, I guess, said we need to centralize this. We need to digitize this. How did the idea of a marketplace come to you, and sort of what were those steps that you took to kind of really get started? I think this is really important, because for this is for me and for anybody who's listening or watching, this question of, I have an idea, I have experience that has given me inspiration for this idea, I know there's a need for this product or service. What do I do next? What's the first thing that I have to do to take this from an idea that would help me to being a thing that exists in the world, that looks to you log in and you sign up and you have clients? How did you do that? What was the first thing that you did?
But I just want to say to add something on a trigger, because it happened that somehow it was an HR in a large company in based yeah, the company was is they have actually a big factory in Romania. And they had a big issue on the global level. They were working with a management company, but they came to us to fix a problem which was more related to the labor law than to the immigration for a particular expatriate. We got the recommendation from one of our partners on HR. We fixed the legal issue. Everything was great, and the HR said, "Look, I would like to recommend you to the sourcing department. So maybe we can work together." And I remember that we went to meet the sourcing department, and they were like, "Guys, it's like we on the global level we have those management companies that we don't have an alternative to the management companies." And I said, "Okay, but what we want is to work with you on the local level. It's like maybe you can decide." And they said, "Look, this is the policy, and the problem is that we need to have the same look and feel for all the service providers. Yeah, we need to have something integrated. We need to have the same reports. We need to have everything tracked and centralized in a system. So uh, for you would be like an idea. Maybe you can organize you as an industry in a union or something like that. And for me, I was like, to organize in a union, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I barely know how the unions work, but to organize the industry in a union and to come to tender, uh, with you here, I think it's quite impossible. And then for me, I started to really question myself. Like it has to be something, something to help us to be, you know, uh, mm, there for the clients, to be able to be chosen by, the way we deliver the service, the way we deliver the knowledge, and so on. And then yeah, I somehow I got some ideas and some inspirations from, Booking, Airbnb, Uber, and I realized that yeah, this might be the model which would help the industry to be more transparent, and to digitalize to digitalize the industry, and to have, let's say, a different way of doing things, because the mobility grew in the last 10 years, very very much. We're talking about more than 25% per year. So now the need, it's much higher than it was 10, 15 years ago.
Mhm.
And people are more and more mobile. We are not talking only about VIPs relocating to a country, from a country to another. We are talking about middle management, a lot of middle management, and even entry level. We had a lot of files of for volunteers, and so on and so forth. So actually, this was the idea that a marketplace would help us to have a common system to to play, and what the marketplaces are doing. Actually, they put the supply and demand in the same place. So
Mhm.
it's and actually the idea was, okay, I will build a marketplace. We will bring the service suppliers into the marketplace, and the way we designed the marketplace was respecting, let's say, the actual customer experience. And when I say actual customer experience, where I'm talking about all those platforms that are usually used, like Amazon, Uber, Booking. So for us in the beginning was it was quite a challenge to design the UX to be extremely easy, because we are selling services, and for services it's much more complex than it is for, I don't know, for products. People are very much used to to buy products online, but the marketplaces selling services, actually at least from the figures that I have, the market is somewhere like 10% from the total marketplaces in the world are destinated to services.
Mm.
So we are quite in the beginning, and the trend is growing. So actually, we said, okay, we will build a marketplace, and then this happened in 2019. We launched the marketplace in Boston, but in that year, I realized that we need to build much more than this, and we have to offer to the three players that we have in the platform, meaning the HR, the service provider, and as well the expatriate. We have to offer them full tools to stay into the ecosystem. So actually, into ecosystem, they should have the entire journey of their global mobility process, even if they are HRs, even if they are service providers or expatriates. Um, so actually, I shared with you that you know, we got the European funds. We got 2 grants to build this product. The first one we took, the first, it was, yeah, we will build the marketplace, but in the beginning we didn't know that we will build something else. You know, it was like, okay, we'll build a marketplace, it's just enough. But then I realized that it's not enough. We had a lot of internal debates, you know, with my business advisors. I have My business advisors are from retail. One of them is from Amazon, and they were really challenging me, like, this is crazy. This is not a marketplace. What you're doing here. But then last year I found out that you know, adding a SaaS behind the marketplace, actually we're building what is called a SAM, a SaaS enabled marketplace. And I found this somehow accidentally. Even to the tech team, I was like, you know, guys, I think we are building a SAM. This is what we found written here, that what we're doing is actually a SAM. So it's a full ecosystem. So actually you have the supply and demand as a front end. So you can sell and buy from the marketplace, but then all the tracking system is made behind. So it's called the expatriate resource management. So it's a software which actually helps all the players into the global mobility process to keep the track on everything they do.
So
Of course,
if I can clarify, just for folks listening, the idea here is that xpath global first started as just a matching platform, you know, a marketplace where people who need to relocate individuals to certain countries can go on. They can search for the country, let's say, or, you know, something else, and they can see the service providers at that country, see what those service providers offer, and then engage with them, right? And then it sounds like what you're saying is, well, then they're going to engage with them. They're going to move off the platform. We need to keep them. Not that you need to, but it's even better to keep them on the platform. And from a business perspective, you want to keep them on the platform. So let's then continue to build. All right, we've connected them through the marketplace. Now let's help them manage their work together, their relationship on the marketplace. And it sounds like this is where the kind of back end, this sort of expatriate management system comes in. That's the SaaS part, I guess, right?
yeah.
So now, if I'm understanding correctly, I'm a large company. I need to move somebody to Angola, right? I go onto xpath global. I find the service provider that I want to use. I can engage them right through the platform, and then I can track the work that we're doing together still in the platform, rather than figuring out another tool or service or, you know, spreadsheet or something like that.
Exactly. This is the way it is. Yeah, this is the way it works. Yeah, actually you have all the tools. And on top of that, when we decided to, you know, to build more, we had as well in mind the GDPR perspective. Imagine that you have suppliers from India or from, you know, countries where they actually they are not required to be GDPR compliant. You know, you deliver services and or consultancy in India. So it's quite hard for the companies based in Europe actually to send, you know, documents wherever on the planet. You as a company in Europe, for example, you have to make sure that the supplier in India or in any other country outside of the EU, they actually perform and they keep all the documents in a proper system. So having this, sorry, this common system for everybody, actually, we make sure that we are all compliant with those, you know, regulations and requirements. So actually, even if you are a supplier from India or from Pakistan or from China, using our SaaS and our tools, you are actually fully compliant. And on top of that, what we managed to do was, what we afford to do was that actually there are none fees to jump into the platform. And we have a team that actually helps the service providers to advertise and to publish all their services. We have now more than 20,000 services published into the
Wow.
platform. So yeah, because we decided to allocate this team because online and offline are totally different stories. In the online, you have to really try hard to advertise and to put the right words, and because it's so important. You should have, yeah, it's very important to have a nice picture into the platform to be catchy, because it's not only you into the platform. So actually the company will look, of course, on how you describe the services, what it's in there. So you have to be very careful on what you're adding there, because people, they are buying the service based on the description that you have in the online.
Do
So
you help some of your service providers with this? I mean, if they come on board, do you help them at all? Explain to them how do you describe your services, what kind of pictures are better for individuals, etc.
actually, we do this for themselves,
Oh,
and
okay.
they have to confirm if it's okay or not, if
Mm.
we should change something. Yeah, so we have a team doing that, and it's quite a lot of work.
That's really nice though, because then you essentially are supporting the service providers. You help them onboard into the platform, because it sounds good to say, I'm a service provider, I want to join the marketplace. But then it's going to take a little bit of time and work to actually get onto the marketplace. So the fact that you have that is really nice. I want to ask you this, because I want to make sure that everyone sort of can hear from your perspective. Where's the company now? What are some of the things that you're working on and building? Because you recently launched it. You mentioned you launched that Worldwide ERC in Boston, and I was actually there, but unfortunately we didn't run into each other. It was such a big event. I was there. That was the last in-person, like Worldwide ERC, the national event. You launched in 2019. Then you started building this SaaS background as well, the sort of the backdrop for it. Where are you now? What can you look forward to? What can people look forward to with xpath Global?
So for us, actually, in 2020, we focus very much on the onboarding of the service suppliers. We had a lot of meetings scheduled with the corporate companies, but unfortunately, yeah, everything was somehow blocked. And then we said, okay, we will onboard as many clients, as many service providers as possible. And then we will start to onboard our own clients, because, in the offline, we have a lot of clients that actually they wait to be onboarded because they will use the system as well. So actually, this is the path. It's for some companies, it's much easier. They are very open to new things and new challenges. But there are companies as well who behave like, okay, I do not know how this works. Could you please do it on my behalf? And they're buying services. It's slowly. We have some few countries covered from the demand point of view. But we are expecting really in 2021 to have more and more clients. Actually, we have quite big plans to to achieve. We are just waiting for the let's say the restrictions to lift, because
Right.
it's quite hard to to make a presentation to a global mobility stakeholder, to a totally new thing when you not even met that person. So
Of course.
yeah.
Who are some of the service providers that you have? Because I think people watching, I mean, it's who wouldn't want to be on a marketplace. You can still do your business as usual, also have a space on the marketplace, and then maybe that can be an additional source of leads. who are the different organizations? I'm presumably they're part of the kind of relocation global mobility business, but of course there are a lot of different players, immigration firms, relocation firms, et cetera. Who are the types of companies that should look at this and say, oh, let me check it out?
Um, we expect the small, the average companies, and even the large companies into the industry to jump into the platform. And as you said, it's a different channel of of sales, and actually, like it happens into with other type of marketplaces, especially the ones selling products. Those ecosystems they really develop and those ecosystems create new jobs for the people, because for example you can allocate one person, two people for all the clients coming from the marketplace, because it's it's somehow a different it, you sell the same services, but the beauty in the online is that you can so much adapt your services. You can sell I don't know, 2 hour support for filling in some forms. So you can really can adapt your services to different targets. um, if before, for example, our industry was so much focused on the VIP packages or middle management packages. Now we have the possibility using the platform to touch as well the lump sum expatriates, because here it's quite a big need. We felt into with our offline business that in the last couple of years, a lot of companies they offered for relocation and moving lump sums to the expatriates, and they didn't know where to go to spend the
Mm-hmm.
money. And I heard a lot of complaints from the service providers. The expatriates, if they get the lump sum, they will be very tight with the money. They will be tight to spend the money. Yes, but still they need. You can think to design a small service
Mm-hmm.
to help them. Maybe you don't sell a nice package with 1,000 euros, but maybe you can sell 3 hours desktop support with 300 or 400 euros. So you earn something, and you somehow you get that customer in one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, you adapt your services that you provide to the demands of the market today. I mean,
Yeah,
what was needed last year or 2 years ago just doesn't work right now, I guess.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you, and I just want to clarify again, who should sign up to be a service provider? So immigration law firms, inbound immigration law firms around the world, I suppose, anywhere in the world.
Yeah, anywhere in the world.
Who else?
Tax companies
Mhm.
targeting employees, so offering
Mhm.
services for employees. We don't touch the corporate side, but only the employees tax part. Relocation, so destination providers, immigration, tax, and moving providers. Yeah,
Mm.
those are the four services that four categories of services that we have into our marketplace.
Yeah, that's great to know, because I think that would be the interesting thing for people to know. Do I fit in here? So I think those categories folks would fit in. And I guess my last sort of question or line of questioning would be, it was exciting because you and I talked recently, and then you kind of announced that, well, number one, you raised money from the EU, which is really exciting. So clearly that they believe in this, they see a need, and they see your execution as doing it right. Then you had two great people join your team. One person was an executive from Amazon. So you're actually getting someone who has implemented a really robust marketplace. Where do you see the company kind of going? I mean, right now you're in growth mode. You're getting more people. You're adding on services, service providers, and then of course you're doing your own sales to find the clients to use the platform and the marketplace. Where do you see, where do you envision this taking the industry, and how do you see the industry changing with this type of service?
So yeah, this is a good question. We have big plans for 2021. Actually, we've built quite a lot from the technology point of view. We have RPA in the platform. We have chatbot. We have AI in the platform. So we really we have built as much as possible, because actually we had some constraints in regard to the European funds. The European funds had to focus only on technology. So this was actually the scope. So actually we've built to cover all the money. So this year, actually, we will focus very much on the sales part. But in the next 2 years, we see that our intentions are to develop let's say a larger pool of services for the expatriates, because the expatriates actually they do have more needs than during an assignment. They need more than immigration, relocation, tax, and moving. So this is one part, and then yeah, we just want to to develop as like in the next 2 years to upgrade as well, the technology that we have now. We are thinking as well to make somehow connect, like to be able to connect through APIs with various governmental systems. So this is kind of a dream. We are somehow working now to do that for some forms which are mandatory in Europe, the notifications, because actually in some countries in the European Union, you can link somehow with the Labor Department, and you can somehow send directly the application to the Labor Department system. But this is let's say somehow the beginning, because with the government it's quite a long road. But
that's a dream here in the US too. I think there's a lot of discussion about, will immigration technology companies and others also in the space be able to, can we somehow link up to the government? It would be so much nicer, because you have service providers and you have clients using technology, and then they have to break from the technology and then go and apply through some other portal, or in our case in the US, many applications have to be printed and actually sent physically into the government. No, that's really exciting. And I think that, hopefully from your perspective, it's once the momentum hits, right, you get more clients realizing that there's all these service providers on the platform. It's easy to get on. It's easy to browse. You can just browse. You don't have to you don't have to purchase. You can go in and browse and see what's available. Look at prices, look at things like that. So I think it's really exciting that you've built this, because it is hard to centralize this, and there's a lot of searching that is done, and people put blogs together and all these other things. Like, to have an actual automated system that truly does have so many different players providing their services through it is really really cool, and I think really is going to hopefully see the future. I'm curious, just from my perspective, as kind of my last question here, on the US side, do you have US service providers there as well on the platform, or are you really focused on kind of Europe, more Europe central?
We have service providers from all around the globe. We are in 130 countries.
Wow.
Yeah. So probably US it should be there somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope so. Well, I'd like to sort of end on a more interesting, or maybe more fun question. I think as we were talking, the one thing that really looked like sparked your interest was this like dream you had of maybe staying in South Korea and living there. I went to South Korea once. I had a bunch of friends in college there, so I was able to go visit them. I absolutely loved Seoul. It made me feel like New York City. It was a little bit dirty, just dirty enough that it reminded me of New York City, like grungy. I mean, You know, it wasn't so, in comparison for me to like Tokyo, which was just it was beautifully clean, pristine. Seoul felt a little bit more like New York City to me. I'm curious, what was the, like, do you have a favorite food there? Because I love the food in South Korea.
Don't
So
tell me that it's kimchi, that you like kimchi.
no, it wasn't. It was actually the fried chicken. And I don't even eat a lot of meat anymore, but the fried chicken I love, particularly because they gave you the full animal. They respect the whole animal, not just the chicken wings. They gave you everything. And I really love that.
Yeah, I had that experience as well with the full chicken into my plate. It was like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
They're eating quite a lot, but I remember that after my student experience, I traveled to Seoul. I think in 2015, we had a partner company there. They had a lot of transfers to Romania, and I remember that they were so nice to me. They invited me to a restaurant, and I think that it was a traditional restaurant, and the show, like, they brought very small, plates with very tiny, things to taste. And I think that show took, I think, 2 hours. I think I saw, I don't know, almost 70, 80 small plates
Wow.
on the table. So yeah, but it was a very nice experience. But it was like, oh my God, should I keep in mind all what I've seen here? And they were very, very, enjoying the fact that I had the possibility to experience so much. So yeah, I still have in mind that the number of plates, and the fact that they were asking me take a photo, let's take a picture. So yeah, it was fun. But the taste was, the Korean food is really nice. It's really nice.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
That's
time there.
incredible. I do love in New York City we have an area. I mean, in many cities you have a Koreatown, and so there are a number of restaurants. And sometimes if you get all the little plates with the kimchis and the other things, I absolutely love that. Man,
And to
you're
be
making me.
honest, yeah, Roman, just one thing to say. For me, I didn't find the city dirty at all. Probably because I was too much amazed about, this was in 2007. I remember that I was shocked with the level of technology they had. It
Yeah,
was like, I felt like in Matrix, really. Literally. It was, they had, touch screens everywhere, and the phone had multiple functions, even to take the temperature, to send something to the doctor. And it was like 14 years ago, 15 years ago. So yeah, the level of
yeah.
technology at the
It's
time.
unbelievable how different countries and cities are so much more advanced than some others in terms of technology. Yeah, agreed. For me, it was just, I don't know, something about it felt very New York. I felt really at home there. And I'll never forget that. I don't remember exactly what it was about it, but I love the experience and I can't wait to go back. Well, listen, Elena, it is so late for you. Thank you so much for joining and for just sharing
Thank
your
you.
story. I think it's really exciting. And I think that a lot of the folks listening said, Nicola said, congratulations on everything
Thank
so
you so much.
far. And I think a lot of people are really excited for something like this. I'm definitely excited because a really nice way to centralize immigration service providers and others in the industry, moving companies, tax, relocation is the start of using technology in a smart way to stop wasting time searching and start spending time implementing and moving and kind of moving things ahead. So again, really appreciate it. I'm really
Thank
excited
you
for
so much.
this. For folks who want to reach out to you, the company's xpath.global. And I guess people can go in there and learn more about the company on the website.
Thank you so much, Roman, for the invitation and for the
Absolutely.
opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely. Of course. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm really excited for this. Thank you all so much for joining and for listening. And if you're in Europe, staying up super late, keep expath in your keep watch out for it and see the growth. And you know what, if it's an organization that you think you can support in terms of becoming a service provider on the platform, check it out. Maybe it's something for you. And I think what's cool about it is that it can allow more providers around the world to, again, add a potential sales funnel, and really be somewhere that's centralized and not just rely on their website, let's say, to drive traffic and to like get known, but also be known through the services they provide on the marketplace. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world, and I'm really excited for this, and I'm excited for where this takes the global immigration industry, and our relationship with getting service from different providers. So with that, thank you again, everybody, for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day or evening or weekend. Talk to you next week. And as always, peace out. Stay safe.